Hello and welcome to my channel, She Speaks Too. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be doing a scene review from one of my favorite movies, an iconic movie, The Color Purple. And this scene is the separation of Nettie and Celie. I just thought I would give it a go. The movie Color Purple, I think the novel was written in 1982 by Alice Walker. And then the movie was in like 1985. It starred Whoopi Goldberg, Danny Glover, Oprah Winfrey, some other famous people. Lawrence Fishburne was in that. Back before he was famous, and back then he went by Larry Fishburne. But anyway, so this is the scene of Nettie and Celie getting separated in The Color Purple. So back when I watched this scene, it was traumatic. When I read the book, the scene is traumatic. The sisters are forcibly, violently separated from each other. But because I have seen this movie so many times, and there's so many memes like "me and you was never part," there's so many memes about this. It can be laughable at times, so I'm going to treat this with as much sensitivity as I can. So the backstory is that Celie and Nettie are sisters. Their mother passed away, and the stepfather has started sexually assaulting Celie, and she had 2 children that were taken away from her, given up for adoption, and those children were by her stepfather. And so then Mr., which is Mr. Albert, came around to marry. He wanted to marry Nettie because she was called the prettier sister, but he was given Celie instead because he had a whole bunch of kids and needed help. So Celie marries Mr. Albert. Nettie is still in the home with the stepfather. Stepfather starts trying to touch her. She runs away, goes to Celie's house, who Celie is living with Mr. While living with Mr., Celie is also abused sexually, physically, emotionally, mentally, all the types of abuse that you can think of. So her sister Nettie comes. Nettie is a pocket of joy for Celie. She starts teaching Celie how to read, she's just a pocket of joy and misery for Celie. And Mr. has taken note of that. And because he's a cloud of darkness, he does not want he's made it his life's mission to take away everything that makes Celie feel important or happy, to make her feel as small as possible. He's made that his life's mission. So he's watching them interact. He's seeing the joy that her sister brings to her. So then he makes sexual advances towards Nettie. Nettie refuses his advances. So the scene opens up with him within her bags yelling, "She's got to go." So the sisters are holding each other tightly, hugging each other, crying, and then he forces them apart, picks up Nettie while Celie is grabbing onto her feet and is holding Nettie basically, and then dragging Celie at the same time. The kids are watching. The sisters get up, they run, and they're holding a stick. Like, he's so evil. As they're holding this stick, he's like beating their hands, grabs Nettie, pulls her apart, and then picks her up again. So then they have this fence, and he takes her, throws her, or puts her outside of the fence. But the fence has no barbed wire, there's no gate, there's nothing that would prevent Celie from leaving with her sister, but that she has a mental barrier. So she watches her sister get thrown out. Then Nettie turns to Mr. and does the iconic, "Why? Why?" So she does that, and that's back then when we used to cry. Now we kind of use that as a meme. But then she's like, "Why?" So she does that. I dropped my pen, hold on. So anyway, she does that, and then Mr. then throws a rock at her. And I'm like, dang. Like, so first he lifted his hand like he was going to punch her, then he threw a rock at her, and then Celie's just crying. And then Nettie's, "Me and you will never part, us will never part, ma-ki-da-da." So they start doing that, and they're crying, and this is a tearjerker scene. And this is what, you know, me and my cousins do when we're separating. You know, we start doing this just to be funny. And so then she turns to her sister, "Nothing but death can separate me from her." And then she says it again, and Mr. is like throwing rocks and stuff. So what I noted from this scene was there was nothing physical that stopped Celie from joining her sister. There was no barrier. It was a wooden fence. There was an opening. Her sister was on that side. Celie was on this side. There was nothing that could stop her. Now, you could argue that Mr. could stop her, but he's one person and there's two of them. So this reminds me of these elephants in the circus. So these circus elephants, from the time that they're babies, are tied 1 foot, and then they're tied from 1 foot to a stick. And these baby elephants, when they're little, this string, this rope that's tied to a stick can hold them. And they're conditioned as they grow up, they keep tying them, they keep tying them. And because at a certain point when they were babies, they couldn't move, they have this mindset that I can't move. But these elephants are big enough to tear down this whole tent, but they don't know their power. So they just keep stuck, tied to this rope. They get bigger, but they get bigger physically, but the mentality hasn't changed. They're still mentally tied. So that's what I like in Celie's situation too. There's no physical barrier. There's nothing that's stopping her from saying, wait a minute, I'm married to this abusive man. These aren't my kids. I can leave. But because she's been abused for so long, from such an early age, she doesn't see a way out, and so she stays. And so that is the iconic scene from Color Purple, the separation from Nettie and Celie. And so that is my review of this scene, The Color Purple by Alice Walker. Thank you so much. This is Joy from She Speaks Too. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.